within one and a half hour you will finish it. Okay, it only covers the stuff after midterm 1, so you don't have to worry about the chapters before the midterm 1. Okay, so the main thing you need to focus on is chapter 7, 8, 9, and okay. 7, 8, 9, 13, 14, 15. Okay. 7, 8, 9, 13, 14, 15. Okay, 6 chapters. All right. And the exam include 2 parts: multiple choice questions and calculation or essay questions. 2 parts. The multiple choice questions has 20 totally, 20 multiple choice questions. Okay. And it counts for 40%. Then the essay question, calculation question counts for 60%, and there are 3 big questions. Each one is 20%. So it's pretty much like the midterm 1. Okay, so you have 40% multiple choice question, where there are 20 multiple choice questions. Then you have 3 calculation essay questions. Each one counts for 20%. Okay. Okay. So first, I'm going to go through the multiple choice questions. Okay. And I'm going to go through the concept that you need to know and you need to study, all right? Okay. Okay. First is the consumer theory part. Okay, so just now did I mention consumer theory will be on the, I did not mention that, right? So chapter 6, you need to worry about chapter 6 as well, consumer theory. Okay, chapter 6 will be included. So some of the multiple choice question and would be on the consumer theory. Okay, and I gave you guys a quiz on the consumer theory, and some of those questions from that quiz will be on the final 2. Okay, for example, what is a budget line? Okay, you have to understand what is budget line. So there's 2 components in the consumer theory model. Okay, budget line represent the borderline between what you can afford and what you can't. Okay, so if you choose a consumption bundle along the budget line, that means you spend all your income. If you pick a point underneath, you have some money left. You pick one beyond, you cannot afford, right? Okay. And also, you have to know the budget line is constructed like this. So this is a mathematical equation for the budget line. The income is equal to the expenses on good X plus the expenses on good Y. Okay? And also, you need to know the slope is equal to negative px divided by py. So if you look at the slope here, it does not depend on the income. So when the income changes, they're just going to shift the parallel, right? Okay. But if any one of the prices changes, then the budget line is going to have a different slope. Okay. For example, price of X increases. How this budget line is going to shift. Okay? Price of the good X increases, but the price of Y does not change. So does this point change? No. How does this point going to change?
Goes to the left.
Go to the left. That's right. Okay, good. So vice versa if what PY increases. Okay? So that's what you need to know the budget line. Okay? And also you need to, I remember in that quiz, I have given you back on that quiz. So really study that. Dig out that quiz. There's a question which gave you the income. Okay, please turn. Okay, give you the income and give you the number here, the number here, so which you have no x and y, and then ask you to choose the price of px and py. I think there is a multiple choice question like that on quiz. If you dig out, you will see what I mean. They tell you it's $20 income, and here is 2 or 4, something like that. Okay, so you basically plug 2 here, 2 here and 4 right here, right? Okay, and then they give you several options of the price of x and y. Okay, you're basically gonna try out each option, but the summation of this has to be equal to the income, right? Okay, so that's how you check which pair is a valid one.
The income will be given?
Income will be it's given in that question.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
He's 20.
Okay, so this is the budget line. Okay, the next one is indifference curve. The indifference curve, most of the time looks like this, and you need to know the meaning of indifference curve. The meaning of indifference curve means you going to receive the same level of total utility. You're going to receive the same total utility level along the indifference curve. So along the indifference curve, your total utility remains the same. Okay. Okay. So that's what I want to go over for the consumer theory. Okay. Two components there, and
Can you repeat that again? The definition?
a definition indifference curve is it describes different combinations of good x and y where you will receive the same level of total utility. Basically, is the total utility remains the same along the indifference curve. Total utility remains the same. Marquita? Hello? Hello? Hey, Topaz? You guys here?
Yes.
Okay, so are you recording this?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Just want to make sure. Okay. All right. So this is what you need to know for the consumer theory model. Okay. And next I'm going to move on to the. Okay, there's a couple things I want to mention. Okay, there's one more thing here. There is a law in this consumer theory. It's called diminishing marginal utility. Law of diminishing marginal utility. Okay, so what the meaning of this law is, as you increase your consumption, your total utility increases. But your marginal utility of consuming one more unit decreases. Okay, I'm going to repeat. As you increase your consumption, your total utility increases, but your marginal utility of consuming one more unit decreases. This is the law of diminishing marginal utility. you're going to see a few questions on those concepts. Now let's go to the producer theory, which is chapter 7, 8, 9, I think. We have learned two different function forms in the consumer theory part. The first one is production function. Okay. The next one is cost function. Okay. So let's start with production function. What do you need to know about production function? For the production function is a concept we learned that total product, average product, marginal product. Okay. So if we talk about average product of labor, then it's just APL. If we talk about marginal product of labor, it's just MPL. And this is just TP. So that is within the production function. And the first thing you need to remember, I think that is one of the multiple choice questions, is the relationship between MPL and APL. So you need to remember this graph. That's the relationship between MPL and APL. So when MPL is greater than APL, look at it. When MPL is greater than APL, which means that MPL is above the APL. APL is on the increasing range, increasing state. So APL is increasing. So we're talking about this state here. MPL is above APL, APL increases. And when MPL is below APL, and APL decreases. Okay. Just like the question. Okay. So that is a production function. For the cost function, we learned total cost, total fixed cost, total variable cost. Okay? We learned average total cost, average fixed cost, average variable cost. And then we have another concept, is marginal cost. Okay? So first I'm going to give you the formula. First one, total cost is sum of the fixed cost and variable cost. Okay. The second one, average total cost is equal to average fixed cost plus average variable cost. And also the average total cost is just equal to total cost divided by Q. And for the other two variable costs, the formula is similar. I'm not going to repeat it. guys following this? Okay. All right, so one more formula is marginal cost. Marginal cost is the change of the total cost divided by the change of the output. Those are the formulas you need to know. Now we're going to put this average cost, marginal cost on the same graph. So when you draw this graph, I'm going to grade you on the drawing graph too. There must be a lowest point of both ATC and ADC. Mark this lowest point. And then the marginal cost has to cross those. If it does not cross lowest point, minus 1 point. Okay, remember this? Has to cross lowest point. So when you remember this graph, then you should be able to answer the question like this. For example, if marginal cost is less than average total cost, average total cost is increasing or decreasing? Is decreasing. Okay. Marginal cost is less than ATC, so which means marginal cost is below ATC. When they state here, marginal cost is right here, ATC is above that. You see that? So ATC is decreasing. So when MC is below ATC, ATC is decreasing. Do you all see that? This is part of MC. This is not a part of MC. When Q is less than Q star, this is, so in a sense you don't look at this, you just look at the left hand side. This is ATC, this is MC. MC is below ATC, and ATC is decreasing. When MC is greater than ATC, then we're talking about this range. When Q is greater than Q star, then MC is above ATC, you see? Then ATC is increasing. Play with this a little bit. I see some of you still not quite get this. So go home and look at this graph and think about it. But basically you break, you break marginal cost into two parts. This is one part, that is one part, okay? When this is lower than that, ATC, you're talking about this section, this range, then that is when ATC is decreasing. You break ATC and MC into two parts in a sense. Okay, so this is part of the producer theory, production function and cost function. Okay. So next thing. So we learned this. The next thing we will learn is determine optimal output in the short run. Okay. How do we determine the optimal output in the short run? Well, This is the rule. This is the rule we're going. This is a condition or principle we're going to use in order to determine this. So we use P equal to MC, this condition, to determine the optimal output. Okay, question here. I tell you the price is right here. This is the price. Ask you find the optimal output. Condition P equal to MC. This is P, this is MC. That's where they meet, right? Okay. Now you know this is your optimal output. Make sense?
You're gonna give us a graph like that,
Yes, I'm going to give you a graph.
and then you're gonna tell us
Numbers.
the optimal output,
Yeah, I will have numbers.
step by step.
Not necessarily step by step. I may just ask you, okay, based on this graph, what is the profit?
Okay.
So you have to do the step by step yourself. Okay. And so you find optimal first, and then I will ask you, I may ask you what is operating profit. I may ask you what is economic profit. What is the operating profit equal to? Total revenue minus total variable cost. Economic profit is equal to total revenue minus total cost. Right? What is total revenue? Total revenue is equal to price multiply Q. If you know the price, you find optimal output. You should be able to find the total revenue fairly easily, right? Okay. Total variable cost is equal to, using the formula I just gave to you, is equal to the average variable cost multiply Q. Total cost is equal to average total cost multiply Q. You guys follow me here? Okay. And how do we find the AVC and the ATC? Well, you have the Q. You just draw a straight line to the AVC, then this is your AVC, right? You draw a straight line to the ATC, and here you are, this is the ATC. And you plug those numbers back into the formula, you can find total variable cost and total cost. If operating profit is positive, you're going to run in the long run or short run? Operating profit is positive.
No, short run.
It's short run, okay? So operating profit is connected to the short run decision. Economic profit is related to the long run decision. So if if both are positive, you're gonna run in both, right? If economic profit is negative, but operating profit is positive, that's when you're gonna run in the short run, but not in the long run. If both negative, you're not gonna run at all, right? Okay. Question here? one more thing, and for the cost function, okay? So this is the graph shows the marginal cost and average cost, okay? But what if I give you the total cost function? One is total fixed cost, the other one is total variable cost. Okay. And then I give you the total cost. What's the difference between, take any output level, what's the difference? The vertical difference here. Between total cost and total variable cost. Take any output level. What is this difference between total cost and total variable cost? What is total cost minus total variable cost equal to? I just give you that formula. Total cost equal to what?
So that gap would be total fixed cost?
Yeah. Gap will be total fixed cost. Because that's the difference between total cost and total variable cost. Okay. All right, so so in the producer theory, we talk about production function, cost function, determine the output, and the last thing is determine the optimal scale. That's the last question we talk about, determine the optimal scale of the business. Okay. To see how the firm determines the perfect, the best optimal scale, we have to look at what we call the long-run average cost curve. Okay. Remember, along this long-run average cost curve, each point there represents a different scale. As you move toward that direction, the scale increases. The scale increases. Okay? If you're picking this scale here, then at this scale, and this is your short-run average cost curve, and this is your short-run marginal cost curve. So what long-run average cost curve does is help you to find the location of where the short-run average cost curve is. Okay. So once you determine the scale, you will be able to determine the short-run average cost curve and short-run marginal cost curve. Then if I give you the market price, you stand it here, and you should be able to find the optimal output. Q star. Okay? So what the firm is going to do is, even though they are maximizing the profit at this scale here, scale 1, they will not be content, they will not be satisfied, because they're going to increase the scale. Because every time they increase the scale, the cost curve is going to be lower. They're going to make more profit. So optimal scale is at this lowest point. That is the best scale for this business because at this scale, your average cost curve is lowest. Okay. If the price is still right here, then this firm is making more profit. But we know that if you're making a lot of profit, other firms are going to come in and the market become more competitive and supply curve is going to shift up, which is going to cause the price going down. So eventually, the price will reach a point where the existing firm makes zero economic profit. And that is where it's here. When the price is pushed down to this level here, and the firm is using this scale, and the optimal output will be right here, but economic profit is equal to zero. When the price is right here, and you're choosing a scale right here, and you're making zero economic profit.
Is this going to be the essay question you ask us?
May not be, maybe, or may not be. You have to prepare for that. Yeah.
Is it essay question?
Right. Because basically this is the lowest point of average total cost. This is the break-even point, right? We talk about break-even point. So at this point, economic profit is equal to zero. So you need to remember at this point here, at this situation here, you have this. And economic profit equal to zero. So this is what we call it long run equilibrium in a perfectly competitive market. This is long run equilibrium in a perfectly competitive market. If I ask you, okay, how a long run equilibrium is realized in a perfectly competitive market, you have to have this graph here and have to have the graph there. And you do have to explain, okay, as firm moving this direction, they're going to produce more, supply is going to be higher, and also the firms from outside the market are going to come in and will make the supply even more. And that will push the price down even more, okay? But as long as there's still positive profit margin, this process will keep going. There's one more graph actually that is related to this dynamic movement. This is what we call output market. This is output market. And here is input market. When you produce more, you're going to demand more inputs. You demand more resources to make it, right? So the input market is going to be affected. Is the demand or supply is going to be affected in the input market?
Why?
When you produce more, you need more resources. You need to buy more resources. So the demand or supply is the demand. You demand more inputs. So the demand is going to shift up, and that's going to cause the input price go up. When the input price goes up, that's a bad news for the firm because now it costs more for the firm to produce. So the overall long run average cost curve will shift up. So this is due to that.
So when demand shifts up, the long run average curve cost goes up.
There's a step in the middle. Demand goes up, the input price go up. The input price goes up, long run average cost curve goes up. Because long run average cost curve represents you the cost of making good. So it increases when the input price goes up.
Is that what we was trying to do? Just make the never mind. I got it.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let's move on to so this is producer theory part. So we talk about consumer theory, and this is what you know for the producer theory. Okay. Okay, the next one is market structure. So again, you need to know we have learned four. Perfectly competitive market, monopolistic market, monopolistically competitive market, and oligopolistic market. Four market structures. Okay, these three is imperfect. And you need to, for each of those market structures, I tell you the bullet points, right? The characteristic of each market structure, how many firms, and what about products identical or heterogeneous, whether it's free enter or barrier to enter, whether there's market power, stuff like that, right? For each one, you need to remember those characteristics because I may ask you to write them down. You have those in notes. I'm not going to go over those. Okay? You have those? Your notes? Right, you do, right? Okay. And also, you guys need to think about an example in the real world that is in this three market structure. Okay. All right. In all these Mark III market structures, you need to determine not only the price, not only the output, but also the price. But here, you only need to determine the output. Okay? Profit maximizing rule for the perfectly competitive market is P equal to MC. You use P equal to MC to determine the optimal output, which is another form of marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. Right? Remember that? Okay. But for all these three market structures, since P is no longer something that is determined externally, so this changed. So the profit maximizing rule is just go back to the original one. So this is P equal to MC, determine Q star. Here we use marginal revenue equal to marginal cost to determine the Q star. You with me? Okay. So once you determine Q star, you have to determine P star, right? How do we determine the optimal price?
Q star.
Hmm?
Q star. Never mind.
Once you determine Q star, you use the demand curve to determine P star. let's look at the graph here. And this graph again could be monopolist market or could be monopolistically competitive market. This graph here could be a monopolistic firm or could be a monopolistically competitive firm. Either one. Okay, the same graph. How do we determine the Q star here? Marginal revenue equal to marginal cost, right? Do we have the marginal revenue? Do we have the marginal cost? This is where they meet. So of course in the exam there will be numbers. Okay, once this Q star is determined, how do we determine the P star?
Don't you just go up to the demand?
Right. Then I will ask you what is total revenue. You guys know how to find the total revenue now, right? It's just what is total revenue equal to? Total revenue, what happens?
Price times quantity.
Price times quantity, yeah. You have price, you have quantity, you have that's total revenue. Then what about the total cost? What total cost equal to?
Total fixed costs and total variable
What do we have total fixed cost, total variable cost here? So what the other formula we're gonna use?
costs? ATC times.
ATC multiply Q, right? You know we can find ATC. If we move this, it seems like it's right here, right? If we move the Q up to the ATC, and the ATC is right here. So in this case, our total cost is exactly equal to the what? Total revenue. So the economic profit is equal to 0 actually. You guys see what I'm doing here? This is total revenue. But we need to find the total cost. Total cost is equal to ATC multiplied Q. So you draw the Q up to the ATC. And actually it happened to be right here at the price level, right? So the price is equal to ATC. And we'll make the economic profit equal to 0. Because economic profit equal to total revenue minus total cost is equal to P multiplied Q minus ATC multiplied Q, which is equal to P minus ATC multiplied Q. If P and ATC is exactly equal to each other, and then it will be 0. Are you catching up with me? Following up here? Yeah, you definitely, in this class, you cannot drift your mind somewhere because you're going to, because I'm going very fast and you need to pay full attention in this. So this is a case, economic profit equal to 0. Okay. But what if the economic profit is not equal to 0? Slightly change the graph. Now the economic profit is no longer 0 because now you brought Q star to the ATC. It's right here. So are you making a positive economic profit? Are you making positive economic profit? Yes. Okay. So if it's a monopolistic market, only one provider, no competition, they would be able to sustain this profit in the long run because there's no competition. But if I tell you, if this is a monopolistically competitive firm, then this profit cannot be sustained. Because if there's a profit like that, the firm from the outside is going to come in. There will be more competition in the market. When more competition comes in, this demand faced by this particular firm is going to, what's going to happen to this demand?
Go down.
It's going to go down because now more competitors come in. Consumers start switching from this firm to the other ones. So demand will go down. So this demand is going to shift down this way. But not only that, it's going to become flatter. Why flatter? When the demand is become flatter, it means demand become more elastic. Elastic means that if you change the price just slightly, I'm going to switch to the other competitors. I don't have to buy it from you. So when there are more competitors going in the market, the demand, the consumer's demand become more elastic. They become more sensitive to the change of price because they don't have to buy it from you. They can buy from everybody else. So that's what's going to happen if there is a positive profit going on in a monopolistic competitive market. So as this going on, the profit here becomes smaller and smaller because this is changing. The demand is going to change. So eventually, it's going to reach the point that profit is equal to zero. Economic profit So this is the long run outcome. In a monopolistically competitive market. In a monopolistically competitive market, in the long run, nobody is able to make any profit. You guys follow me here? Okay. And also, I will ask you to draw the graph of this. Okay, how? The correct graph should be like this. Look at the way I draw it. Demand, margin, right, margin, cost. First, draw these three. And then, what's next? Put Q star right here. Put one right here. You draw a ATC that tangent to this. So this is our a long run equilibrium in monopolistically competitive market. So you need to remember this graph. Remember how to draw it, and you have to draw it yourself several times to remember the steps.
We have to add the price in there.
Yeah, you better to add prices here. And then
ATC is the same as the price?
ATC will be the same at the price
There's
because
no-
at this point, economic profit equals zero.
There's no ABC.
This is you don't have to draw it. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, you don't have to. Okay. Yeah. All right. So this is market structure. This and this. I mean, for this graph, it's this, okay? But for the monopolistic, there will not be this movement going on because there's no competition, right? Okay. Okay, so now let's talk about oligopolistic. Okay, there's one unique feature about oligopolistic market is interdependence. I told you that last class. Interdependence is the one characteristic that differentiates this market structure from all other ones. So which means one firm's action influence other firm's action and profit. Interdependence. Okay. And for the unique characteristic for monopolistically competitive market is product differentiation. Like advertisement and all this stuff, advertisement is used to differentiate their product. So product differentiation is a unique characteristic for monopolistically competitive market. All right, so you need to remember all the characteristic of those market structure and find the example. Okay, you need to know how this, how to draw this, what's happening, and in the long run. Okay, and also if in the short run there is a positive profit, how to find the profit. Okay, so this kind of question may be in the second section of the calculation part as well. One more question, and I want to talk about one more thing, then we'll be done. Is a graph question, table question. We did a couple weeks ago. So I gave you a box. And I gave you some information about, remember that fast bumpers incorporation? Remember that example? And I say, okay, the overhead cost is $200, right? Okay. It's $200. Then the wage rate is $15 per unit of labor. You guys remember that question? Then there's a table there. Okay, so you're gonna have a table question in this final here. Okay. But this table question I'm gonna give to you is a little bit different. And I think it's simpler than that one. Okay, so I would, if I were you, I would go back to that question and study all over again. Okay, so basically in the question I gave you in the final here, there will be some output. Okay, and there will be information about fixed cost, variable cost, total cost, ATC, AVC, and marginal cost. Okay? You guys follow me here? Okay. But what the difference here is, in this question, on the final, I don't give you this. I don't give you this. I give you this number here. I may give you some number here. But not all of them. You see what I'm saying? You guys know what I'm talking about? So in this chart, I will give you some information, but leave some of them blank. And I'm asking you to fill in those blanks. So what do you need to do? You need to go back to those formulas and utilize all those formulas to figure out. Okay. And remember, the marginal cost is the change of the total cost divided by the change of the output. Make sure that is accurately used. Then in the next part, I may give you a price. Let's say price is equal to $5. I ask you, what is optimal output? How do you do that? Go back to that chart, fast bumpers incorporation. And there I show you how do we utilize the price, market price, to figure out optimal output. You do have to use some information in this chart. Combined with this, you can determine that. How do we determine Q star?
Something with marginal cost.
Louder?
Something with marginal cost, I just don't.
Marginal cost equal to
By
divided by P? Where do you see that?
To,
Louder, so everybody else here? Marginal revenue equal to marginal cost, and in this case, marginal revenue just equal to
output.
marginal revenue. Marginal revenue just equal to the price, right? So, what do you use to find the Q star?
Marginal rate.
You just said it just now. Price equal to, price already equal to marginal revenue, we know that. But what is the formula we use to find optimal output?
Price equals.
MC.
P equal to MC, right? We just repeat that, P equal to MC. You guys really need to study the whole thing to understand what's going on. There's not many things to remember if you understand everything. If you understand what's going on there. Okay, not just memorize this, okay, I'm going to use P equal to MC here. Why? You need to understand why. Because if I change the question just slightly little bit, if you don't understand the rationale, then you do not know how to answer, right?
So in the table, once you find the price, and then that equals the
Price,
marginal.
okay, once you find what price? Did I ask you to find the price?
I mean, no, I'm trying to connect it to finding the quantity. So once you find the price, that's equal to the marginal cost.
Well, once okay, what do you mean once we find the price? We don't need to find the
I mean, but once we find out the marginal cost, what it equals, that's how you find Q. Like you go back in the chart and see where the price equals marginal cost, and then you trace it up to Q. And that's how you find Q star.
That's how we did that fund bumper incorporation. And go back to that question, do it at least 3 times. So understand what's going on there. Okay? So, and it's not hard exam, but if you don't study, it will show. If you study, you will do well. Commit at least 8 to 10 hours. 8 to 10 hours. Okay? I'll see you Friday, 11 o'clock.
At 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. And I still have somebody's quiz if you want to come here to get it. Cole, I have your quiz here.